The first graph that you'll come across that provides you results is that of whether the board is a recognisable or clear team. You can see that there are three key elements to this that we're interested in. We're interested to know if the board believes that it's bounded or if there's some structural clarity, that people know who's on the governance team or not. Second, we want to know whether the board is interdependent, whether people rely on and work with each other. And third, is the board or the management committee stable enough? Is there too many or too few changes to what's going on in terms of composition? In these results, which are the actual results for a particular organisation who's completed it, we can see that there's a generally positive view about understanding who's on it, a mean of 4, but that actually varies a great deal from people who aren't quite sure, we're not even at the 3 or the indeterminate level, right through to people who are actually quite certain up at the 5 level. There's less positive in terms of average around the interdependence role that we can see, and also around the stability role here for the board. Notice though that in terms of stability, people are a lot more of the same mind. There's a lot less spread in the graph. And when we sum these together to get an idea about whether there is a clear team approach at this board, we see that it's relatively similar, but that what we find is that it's perhaps a little lower than what we might expect at around 3.5. And we can start to work back and interpret that as that probably has a bit more to do with interdependency and stability than what it does about knowing who's on there. What would we take away from this graph? Well, in particular, what I'd be taking away is that we need to make sure we understand our roles and who's on the team and who isn't, this bounded element. We also need to think about how we work together and the interdependent role. And we also need to think about our composition. Are we having too many changes, not enough changes, in terms of the stability of our composition? If we move forward to the next set of graphs that we have, it's actually a very important topic, clarity of purpose. Clarity of purpose is absolutely critical because most of the small group literature actually highlights that if people have shared goals, most of the negative things about being in a board or in a group, conflict, personality clashes, etc., fall away. And we get positive interaction. We can disagree, but the disagreement makes the outcomes better because we question and challenge assumptions. And that isn't done in a negative way. So to do this, though, we all need to share goals. And this series of graphs tries to get a handle on that. It first tries to work out whether your board or management committee's goals are clear. And look at the range we can see here for this particular board. It ranges from 2 to nearly 4.5. Now that's a very big change, a very big variation in terms of whether they're clear. So some people clearly aren't clear. Sorry about that. Clearly aren't clear on the goals facing this board. Are they challenging? Notice here again, it's a little bit low. If a group is faced with unchallenging goals, general group literature will tell us that they won't perform as well. So again, there's something here about the goals of this board not being terribly challenging. While their goals aren't challenging, they do believe they make a difference, and that's what consequential is pointing to. Is what we do consequential, or does it make a difference? Again, fair degree of variation, but it's all in that positive range from say 3 to 5. So what we can see is that, okay, maybe we're not setting goals that are challenging enough, but we do think that they'll make a difference. This set of ones here, this construct ends versus means, seeks to understand whether board members control how they set their goals or what the goals are. The higher up we have this, the more we'll find that it's about setting what the goals are. Again, we would expect this to be high for a board, and this might even be a little bit low reading this result. Finally, the last set of goals give us an understanding of how much the board thinks that they have a chance to actually set the goals. Why is this important? Groups that don't set their own goals have less buy-in, etc. We would expect the board or a management committee to be setting most of those goals. But look at this result here. We see that there are some people rating it, or at least one person rating it, around a 3. Why would that be? Maybe they believe government is actually setting the goals and not them. Maybe there's another stakeholder group who they think unduly influences them. But you can start to understand the power behind thinking about what these results mean. Not blanket saying whether they're right or wrong or we're in a range, but as we look at this goal, as we look at this set of results, what we start to see is that perhaps we're not clear on what our goals are. Perhaps they could be more challenging for us as an organisation of a board. And we need to think about who the key stakeholders are who are having an influence on those goals and what that may be doing. Okay, that's the beginning of the interpretation. The next set of podcasts will take us a bit deeper.